Hello, welcome to the Strangeland podcast. I'm Ben Walker and I'm with my friend.
Jack Adams.
Very
Hello.
good. Yeah, connected. And yeah, we're going to talk in today about some of the reasons why we moved to Thailand. Fancy starting, fancy doing the grueling job of starting us off, Jack.
Yeah, sure. So probably, well, up until now at least, like the most kind of defining decision of my life, to move to Thailand. Had quite an inauspicious beginning.
Right.
Kind of made it pretty much off the cuff. It was in a really, really shit rainy day. It was a Monday morning in Glasgow. I'd been out Saturday, Sunday, hungover to hell, and got a message off a mate I went to uni with saying, did I want to go teach in Thailand? And having left uni, were absolutely like didn't know what the hell I was doing. Still working like night shifts in a warehouse. I was like, yeah, might as well. Seems like a good idea. So yeah, jumped at that and went and studied. It was a month-long TEFL on Koh Samui, which was just like so different from. So I went there actually I arrived in Bangkok the first day of Songkran, and
that must have been a bit of a culture shock then, wasn't it?
I couldn't believe. I was like, it's Thailand. Like, having never been to Thailand before, I didn't really know anything about Thailand. I thought Thailand was basically Chiang Mai. There was mountains above Bangkok, so it was Chiang Mai, Bangkok, and then a load of islands.
Yeah, so, and Songkran, in case anyone doesn't know, is basically like a festival where it's a giant water fight, right? So I'm guessing you got off the plane and like people were there with buckets of water throwing at you.
Yeah. So it's like, like April is just, it's so hot. Yeah. And I got off the plane, I've got like jeans on, a long shirt, a jacket, this massive bag that I've got like suits in, like all these fucking shit teaching books, like how to teach English for dummies. And I'm like lugging this through like Khao San Road where like there's just thousands of people throwing water at you, and I'm like, what the fuck have I done? This is horrific. So then went down to Koh Samui a couple of days after that. Things kind of leveled out, and there's just, I mean, stunning as well as you know. So then, and then after that, kind of through an agent, I got offered. They say offered, but basically, I don't think anyone else is going to take the job.
you got grabbed and put in the back of a van, driven up to Korat.
Left Samui to Bangkok, and then from Bangkok, they kind of told you, like you're going to go to this like. The way it was painted was like a city in the jungle. Yeah. Going up to Korat, and basically got to Korat, and it rained for 3 months straight because it was just the start of rainy season. That was about May, and I was like, oh my god, it's just one big road, and it's just raining all the time. I thought I'd moved back to Glasgow, but oh my god, then it was like maybe like the grey of Glasgow and Scotland, and you get here and you go to the island and it's amazing, but then you have to go and work and you're like, oh shit. But this kind of collective cloud that had hung over just seemed to like clear all of a sudden, and you're like, oh my god. Like you start to settle, and it's like everything, like every colour is turned up to the max, every like smell is turned up to the max, every taste is turned up to the max, and it's it just once you kind of.
How long did that take though? Did that take a few months or a few weeks? What time are we talking about?
Well, see, it's like in different stages, because you go to Samui, right, and you're doing your TEFL,
yeah,
and you're like, oh my god, this is an island, like this is great, like I go to class from like 9 until 3, and then I'm on the beach, and like the kids that I taught, did my like teacher practicals with were they were kids who were like learning to become monks. So they were like really, really well behaved kids. And I'm like, oh wow, this is great. But like you're still living a kind of little bit of a sheltered existence because Samui is very Western as well.
Oh yeah, like you can get by with knowing zero
Oh
Thai
yeah,
here.
you
Like
don't have
everyone
to
speaks
speak
English.
any Thai or yeah. So you're like almost like, well, this really does feel like a kind of working holiday. But then arriving in Korat was quite a shock. Like Korat takes a while, I think, to
How would you describe Korat to someone who's never been? What would you be? What would you?
No, I mean this in the nicest way possible, but it really feels like the Glasgow Thailand. Like, but I think it maybe seems this way to a lot of people because Mike, like our mutual friend, described it as the Macclesfield of Thailand, and he's from Macclesfield. So I think I think it's like Korat has a very homely vibe.
Oh, that's
It's
interesting. Yeah.
it's comfortable. Yeah, you can. I mean, it, I think because there's no tourist industry here, you see a much more honest side to Korat.
Yeah, it's like a sort of working city, and it's not like
Yeah,
a
yeah.
holiday island. So that's quite a drastic change from Koh Samui to Korat.
Yeah. And
And
like, I know you're going to talk about this, but the going in and teaching. So I went in to teach. So there'd be 14 to 16-year-olds. Classes are like 35 to 40. Um, and you're like, oh my God, nothing could ever prepare me for this. Like, basically, you feel like you're going into class sometimes with like a riot shield and a baton, and you're like, right, just don't get swamped. Like, if I could get through to one kid, I'll have done my job.
yeah, like for me, the job was very different to what I was told about it by the agency before I came, and what I actually found out I was doing once I arrived in Thailand were very different. Did you find that? Or
Yeah, well, so did you kind of learn about this through an agency? Did you get the job before you came over here?
yeah,
Like,
I
yeah.
knew I was in Korat before I left the UK, so I was like googling. I was looking on Google Maps at Korat. I remember finding the George and Dragon pub and thinking, "Oh, that'll be my hangout." Yeah, seeing it for the first time, thinking, "Fuck that," you know. But yeah. So you didn't know you'd be in Korat until.
No, I literally I found out about Korat 2 days before I came to Korat from Koh Samui. Yeah, the agent came over to Samui and kind of laid out a whole host of different jobs. There was a few in the infamous chatting cell
Yeah.
where where by all accounts it's like a club 18 to 30 for English teachers.
That's what we hear.
Uh,
I don't know. I've
that's
never
what
been.
you hear.
Yeah.
That, and yeah, Korat again. Like Korat isn't. I mean, it's not somewhere you would go on holiday, but I genuinely think it was such a stroke of luck finding this place because there's. I mean, you know about it. I mean, how good is the community here of
Yes,
the
top notch in it.
expats?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's actually when I say expats, there's a really great community of expats, and then there's a wild Facebook page.
Yeah. Yeah. That's definitely. I think it's because maybe because there is less foreign people, and you kind of really club together. It's kind of like intensified in it when you're in Korat to a
Yeah,
certain extent. That's pretty.
yeah.
So you hadn't. So basically, you were working at the time after uni, uh,
Mhm.
and then you'd never thought about moving abroad until your friend messaged you and asked you?
Yeah, well, like I'd thought about teaching back in the UK after I finished uni, but couldn't really face it. And then I thought, again, it's just how terrible my planning is, or maybe just my common sense. I don't know, but thought about teaching English in Greece, but
Right.
then like obviously the financial crash, and then as I dug a little bit deeper, I found out that the packages I could find, I was actually having to pay to teach. So,
You was
so
actually going to teach English on Epstein's Island or something like that.
I just fell into it. Yeah, so then I was like, well, that's kind of out, and then I'd had a really really weird, because I'd been out Saturday Sunday, and it was a really really strange night out, and that Monday, I remember I had a super super long beard at the time, and that Monday I woke up and like shaved my face and then booked my flight.
That's brilliant.
I had this, you know, that way where you just like, something has to change here. Like it was like a moment of clarity where I was like, I can't keep doing this.
Yeah. So, how about so when you went to Samui, had you
Mm.
like booked that before you went, or did you just fly out to Samui and then find like a TEFL center or what?
Yeah, so booked the flight and then booked the TEFL center. It was in Samui TEFL, and they were fantastic. Like I still keep in touch with the woman who ran that.
Right.
She now runs one in Siem Reap as well in Cambodia. Um, yeah, no, they were really good. I found them really helpful. Just with see the kind of long term support, because like I've even still got that woman down. She's providing a reference for the PGCE I'm doing.
Right.
And no, they were really good, and I wouldn't change my time doing, because I spent a month doing that over here and made some good friends doing it, and just did it was a good laugh. It was a kind of nice to go from working night shifts and like partying too much because you're taking advantage of any free time now back home,
Yeah.
to then come out here and have like a nice kind of segue of, okay, I'm on a beach, but I'm studying, and also I know I'm going to go work full time after this. So it was a kind of nice little integration. It was a month that was well paced. Yeah, it was a good experience.
Yeah. So, are they still open in Samui?
Do you know? I don't know if the Samui one is still open, but I know the CM, like when they opened it in CM Reap, and I know that's going
Yeah.
quite well now. I
Decent.
don't know if Samui's still going, but yeah.
Yeah, there's been some
Um,
changes over the years, I think, haven't there, in like the TEFL world.
yeah, it's an ever evolving industry, I think.
Yeah. For sure.
So, Ben, you obviously quite a different experience to me about coming over and stuff. And you came, so I arrived in Korat in the May, and you came, when was it you got up here?
It was October.
October.
Yeah, October 2017. And yeah, well, yeah, like a kind of similar moment happened to me. Really, I'd thought about moving abroad for a long time, to be honest. Like I was thinking before I actually kind of remember when it started, and like I was in college and I wasn't going to go to uni, and then basically we had some like saleswoman from UCAS, which is like I don't know if she worked for the university or she worked for student loans or whatever, but she basically came in and did a class and told us that if we went to uni and then moved abroad, we wouldn't have to pay back our student loans. And she basically
Hey.
told that to an art class. So we was all like, oh, at the time, our ambitions was to be like some sort of like smoke cigarettes and be some drunk in Paris or Berlin or wherever. That was like the goal, was to be like some fucking libertine character. So yeah, so ripping off student finance sounded like a good idea to get a head start on that track. So yeah, I always thought I'd end up. I always wanted to go to like Barcelona or Berlin. I really like those cities. And then I finished uni, and yeah, like finished uni like with credit card debt and drinking too much, doing a few other things too much, and then like kind of crashed. I didn't have any money to carry on living out with my friends, so I ended up moving back to my mum's home. Had to find a job out of the city. I'd been working in bars in the town, and that was all right. And then I had to find it's funny, I spent all that money going to university, got an arts degree, and then the only job I could find afterwards was like just a job that I had before I went to uni, like bar work. So that was like my experiences in there.
Yeah.
I went to like I applied for like a few jobs in the art world, like got a few interviews at like these weird residencies they seem to do, but that was just a strange experience, pretty depressing. So yeah, I worked in a pub for about a year, and I used to get bullied mercilessly most nights by the regulars, just taking the piss mostly, but it was mostly good nature, and then a lot of it wasn't. And I don't remember the exact moment I booked like my flights, and I kind of found work before I moved. I got offered I ended up on some website where it's like, oh, come to work in China, we have jobs in Vietnam, Thailand, like that. So yeah, I was like one of the shifts where I was getting taken the piss out of, and like, I was like feeling depressed. Like it was midnight to 1 or 2 in the morning or something like that. And I think I'd been thinking about it the previous weeks. But yeah, I ended up just booking the work through this website, whatever it was. And yeah, I picked Thailand in the end. I didn't want to go to China, and then I got paid more in Thailand than Vietnam. That's why I chose Thailand in the end. And yeah, similar to you, like I remember waking up like the next day and like saying to my mum, "Oh, I'm going to go to Thailand for 6 months and like teach English like that." And she's like, "All right." Like,
well, so Ben, before you went, was it in your mind that, okay, I'm going to be there for 6 months and then I'll move, or were you thinking, okay, 6 months and then like I'll come back to Manchester, or are you thinking you'll stay there long term?
So yeah, like for me, I was going to do 6 months in Thailand and then just I wanted to travel. I wanted to go like 6 months Thailand, 6 months Vietnam, and then go to Australia or something like that. I think that was my plan. End up in Australia. How about you?
Well, yeah, I mean, I wasn't sure if I was going to move away forever or if I was going to last like 1 month.
Yeah.
To be honest, because I remember booking it in January and then I left April, and I spent the following few months, like I quit my job, I think the end of February, which was, I don't think, a wise decision. And
so how long did you have when you quit your job until you left? Was it like?
Maybe a good 5 weeks.
Yeah, I quit my job really early as well. I quit like just as soon as I signed up. I had like a month and a half to 2 months of just like sitting at home, like packing and unpacking my bag or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I remember like talking with like mates back home and stuff, and like before I went, and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, you're gonna be like living in like a cave, meditating like 8 hours a day." And,
yeah.
And yeah, just such different like expectation and reality when they collide, when you actually get here, start living. It's so bizarre.
In those 2 months, there was a part of me that was like, you're not actually going to end up doing this. There's like, say, like 15% of me sort of like saying, you're not actually going to end up going, mate. You're just going to like, end up looking for another fucking job in the pub. You're not going to, like, because there was part of me that was absolutely shit scared. And like you say, like I was speaking to like family and saying like, yeah, I mean, I'd never wanted to be a teacher before. But even if I hate my job, like I hate my job now. So at least then I'll I'll finish work, I'll go and have a few beers on the beach, it'll be like chilled, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then obviously like end up in Korat where I was closer to a beach in Manchester than I am in Korat, you know what I mean? So it's like the closest beach is what, like at least 8 hours on a bus or something like that. Change in Bangkok.
Well, I'm trying to think if you get like, no, wait, Chonburi, is that about 6 hours?
I don't know. Yeah, like you got to change in Bangkok anyway, haven't you? Oh no, you can go direct. To be fair,
Yeah,
you can get a bus direct to Phuket. I think it takes like it takes like 16 hours.
I was about to say, man, from Korat, you can get a bus direct to anywhere, man. Rome, 290 baht.
Someone will drive you there. That's brilliant.
So when you got over here, it was October, right?
Yeah. I actually flew out on my birthday, which is funny. I flew because my birthday's 21st of October, and like I flew out on my birthday.
Did you get an upgrade for that or anything?
Nah, I was like, I didn't even think about that. You know what I mean? Like, I remember like getting to the airport thinking I was going to be sick, and then like going to the toilet, and then going through, and then like getting on the plane. I've never been outside of Europe before I went. I mean, I had been around Europe and shit, but I'd never. This is like, when I was like looking on the map or whatever and thinking, fucking hell, I'd never been this far away from home or anything. And here I was with like it, and like you say, like I thought like I didn't really have a good understanding of like because I knew I was going to be out the city, but I knew I wouldn't like. I kind of had an idea of what Bangkok might be like, even though I was way off. Yeah, but like when I was thinking about Korat, I was thinking, Jesus Christ, I remember seeing like pictures of Khao Yai, which is kind of what comes up when you're at the national park. I'm thinking, I won't have a TV, I won't have anything. I was like, I was pleasantly surprised when someone from the agency showed me pictures of what my accommodation would look like in Bangkok. I was like, oh shit, there's like a flat screen TV and all that kind of stuff. So I was pretty happy.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but I think my thinking about Thailand and Bangkok's probably like what Thailand and Bangkok was like in like the 70s.
Yeah, I couldn't believe how many skyscrapers were in Bangkok when I first tripped, because I did my TEFL training in Bangkok, so I already had a job, and then I landed in Bangkok, and it's weird because I ended up on 2 agencies, which is kind of bullshit, but we'll probably get into this some other time.
Yeah.
And but yeah, so I landed in Bangkok, and also the job I'd applied for online, it said teacher's intern. So I thought I'd just be like an assistant in the classroom. I thought like there'd be someone running the class who could speak English and Thai, and then they'd be like, oh, how do you say cat, Ben? And I'd be like, cat, or something like that. So I had a bit. So I really, and then the day after I landed. I was in like this room, and I remember this guy sitting us all down and saying, I know you've been told something in the UK. You've been told you're an intern. That's not true. You're going to be a full-time teacher. You're going to be doing full-time hours. You'll be on your own in the classroom. And everyone was like, what the fuck? And he was like, well, it's not, that this isn't, I can't remember what he said. He said something pretty weird. It was like, these people hadn't been doing it that long, or they had in a different country, and it was like the first time doing it in Thailand. So they basically subcontracted all of us to either the agency that I know we were both on for a while, and this other agency. And I actually got really lucky. I got put with this agency because some of the people in my group got to the accommodation, and it was it wasn't pleasant. Maybe shouldn't say too much, but yeah. It wasn't so good, but yeah, I was really happily surprised with the accommodation, and that we was living in the same building for a while. It got a bit cramped after a year there, didn't it? But at first I was really happy, it was a much better spot than I thought. But yeah, so I was in. Sorry, go on.
Sorry, on you go.
Yeah, I was just gonna say so I was in Bangkok for about a week, and they kind of split us up into groups, and I didn't know anyone. I made a couple of friends, I made a couple of mates in this group while we were sort of messing about in Bangkok or whatever. And then they told us who I was going with, and it was this lad who was in my room. And I won't name names or anything, but he was a little bit off. And so here I was, and like how they drove us up to Korat was like this stocky. Is it Glaswegian, the guy I'm thinking of, or is he Scottish? Isn't it?
No, he's from Edinburgh. Yeah.
Right. So and this stocky Scotsman puts me and this other dork in the back of his pickup truck. Like we've got our suitcases in bin bags in the back of his truck in case it rains. Yeah, this guy I'm in with was like, super introvert. Like even when we were doing like demo classes in practicing just with like the people who were coming, he couldn't even speak to the classroom and stuff like that. Like proper stare at his feet. He had night terrors. I was sharing a bunk with him and 3 other guys, and like he was waking up in the night screaming like like proper like like it was a bit much, and it was just me and him. And I remember thinking like I was absolutely filled with dread. And then you've got this guy drove us 4 hours in his truck, and he was trying to he had the same song on repeat, and for like 4 hours I still remember that track. And like he was kind of showing off a little bit and like trying to make us think he was hard and stuff. And it was like me, some like dorky kid who was terrified, and this other guy who was like probably just staring at his feet the full trip up. So it was like a bit unwanted. But that's when I first met you, because you fortunately met us as soon as we got to Korat. And I'm very grateful of seeing you and seeing like someone sound and that when meet us at the school and stuff, because I was like, oh my god, what the fuck have I got myself into it?
Yeah, so when you arrived, I'm trying to think, the accommodation, it was me, and then there was two other teachers?
No, so like in our first week, so there was like 4 teachers already there. One of them had stopped teaching, so you know what that was.
Oh yeah.
And then there was you. Oh no, sorry, there was 2. Sorry, I was thinking of someone who lived at Castle, at SEMA. Yeah, and so you, your friend, and then me and this lad. So there was 4 of us plus one guy who just stopped teaching. Yeah.
And it was, so you arrived on a Saturday, did you? Or was it a Friday?
I think we arrived.
Was it midweek?
It was. I think it might have been like. I think it might have been a random day. I think we might have. No, what was it now? I can't remember. But the school had a day. Like the next day, the school was open, even though we weren't teaching. It was like a pre-term, sort of get your stuff together kind of day. And
was it right at the end of the October holiday?
Yeah, you know what? I just remembered because we had to go in that Sunday. So I think I arrived on a Saturday. We went out for a drink that Saturday night, and then the Sunday we was in, or maybe the Friday we went out for a drink, and then Saturday, and then Sunday we had to go in. And then on Sunday, I remember it was Sunday because on Sunday one of the teachers told me that I needed to buy a tie shirt for the next day, the Monday, because I was tie dress when I started. So that's how I remember. But yeah. Yeah, that was. And then so my first experience. So I got put in the kindergarten, which I was pretty happy about. So the fella I came up with, he had a degree in English literature. So they were like, well, they want you to teach English, obviously, and then there's a kindergarten job. So they're like, can you teach kindergarten? So I was pretty happy, to be honest. Felt well more comfortable going in and speaking with younger children, I thought. And then, as it turned out, I got a pretty good gig. But yeah, my experience was like that first day, I had nothing to do. And I was sat in the office with like 6 other people who I'd not met, and none of them spoke to me. Like I remember, I didn't bring my laptop. I didn't know I needed to bring my laptop. I just went in with my phone. I thought like I'd be busy, and then like so I think someone gave me like the books that I'd be working with, and then and that was basically it. And then they were like they walked me over to the office and then asked one of the other teachers to do stuff, and then I remember like one of them just sort of saying, "No, mate, it's really easy," and then they'd put their headphones back on and kind of watching movies or whatever. So yeah, that was my first experience. But yeah, I mean, I actually really enjoyed teaching in the kindergarten. I miss it a bit. No, I don't.
See that your kindergarten experience is light years away from like what I had in the upper school.
Yeah.
It's like up and down like every hour. Just so much planning to do. But I couldn't do what you do. See, working with really really young kids every day.
See, though,
I mean,
there's kind of a knack to it, and you sort of pick up pretty quickly. And the main thing is, like, it's like as long as you make the kids happy, then everyone's happy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I remember I got observed in one of the
yeah,
lessons. Like, one of the first observation didn't go very well, but then my second one, like, I got a good class who were all like playing games and like being fun and shouting, and well, not shouting, but like joking and speaking English. And so I didn't need.
yeah,
It didn't really matter what my how in depth my lesson plans were. It didn't really matter. It was more about could I get the kids to say like 2 or 3 words. You know what I mean? And like were they happy? That was basically it. So it's more like a
yeah.
working on a sort of Blue Peter than it was being an actual teacher, I guess.
And what was it you were teaching? English,
Oh no, I was teaching science. Um, I was
science.
teaching science. Yeah, that's something I didn't realize before I came out. I don't know if you like the English. I thought it'd be like an English class. Like, obviously at school we had a French class once a week for about a year,
Yeah,
and I didn't
yeah,
learn any. And that was like my French teacher was my geography teacher. It wasn't like someone who knew how to speak French. She was just reading from a book. She'd be like bonjour, you know what I mean, and play CDs of French people speaking. So, whereas when you come to like Asia, like I was working in the kindergarten. They had a full curriculum in Thai. If this is on the English program, they had a full curriculum in Thai, and then science, maths, and English, science, maths, and Thai, and then they'd have science, maths, and English all in English language on the English program, and they kind of lined up together.
hmm
So you had to kind of keep at the same pace as the Thai teacher who you were working with. But yeah, I didn't realize they would have that much, and they also had Chinese a couple of times a week as well, which
yeah,
is pretty gobsmacking in it for when you come from a country where foreign languages aren't really taught that much.
yeah. Well, I get blown away by because I work on the English program now,
Yeah,
and like, I get blown away by just I mean, these kids they learn everything in English now.
yeah,
So I teach them like social, health. That's in English. Like they have every subject is taught in English. Obviously, apart from Thai.
yeah.
Um,
That'd be pretty strange, wouldn't it? Teaching Thai in English.
but teaching Thai in
Just have
English.
us going with our broken accents, like.
um, yeah, but it amazes me now. Like, see, being able to, you can have full conversations with like a primary four,
Oh
and you're
yeah,
like, ah, like
yeah. It's mad,
it's
isn't it?
it's so bizarre when I think back to like that. I learned Spanish. I'm well, not very good at, but what I'm way better than my French that I learned from like primary five onwards.
Yeah.
And there's no way I could I could do like 1% of what some of these kids can do uh, in terms of speaking English.
Yeah, it's super impressive, isn't it? Like,
Yeah,
yeah, like you say, like I had a couple of students even in the kindergarten who it's like I can't believe that they can communicate with me in like a second language, like
yeah,
even in like K2, so that's like what 5 years old or something, 4 or 5 years old, and like they can, like some of them were like had like a foreign parent, uh, and then so they could just talk to you pretty normally, which was, and then you take them speaking in Thai with the Thai teacher was pretty impressive.
hmm
But I guess that's only strange in our country. I think I think we're in the minority. I think in lots of other countries, like speaking like a second language, like we're like, oh my
yeah.
god, you can speak a second language. Like most of the world can speak a couple of languages, can't they?
Well, do you know? It's funny you should say that. I remember being in my French class, and this is secondary four, so this is like you're 15. You're
Yeah,
doing like your first, so we call them standard grades. I'm not sure what they are in England. It's like your first kind of big qualification then after you leave primary.
oh
Um,
yeah, yeah. I forgot what they're called, and it's something else.
is it Nat fives or something you call them? I'm not sure.
I can't remember. Not a
I've no
clue.
idea. But
Yeah.
but uh, but yeah, I remember all of us. Did it? I guess it's not really dawned on you that like qualifications matter yet.
Yeah.
But we used to like fucking take the piss mercilessly if like someone in there would put on a French accent when they were speaking. But
Yeah.
oh shit, it's fucking funny. Like
Oh yeah,
you don't
if
like
you put any effort into French class, you were ridiculed. You know what I mean? Like that was like, what are you doing?
bonjour, je m'appelle Jack. You know, like but like here, I don't know. Maybe I'm just seeing what I want to see. But I don't think I think being striving to get better seems there doesn't seem to be the same stigma attached here. Like
Oh
kids will
yeah,
quite happily congratulate each other.
yeah.
You know?
That's what that was striking to me as well. I remember like working at the school for like 6 months and never seeing like I know like I mean like on the I never saw like a fight after school or something like that, which was I thought there'd be a couple and like yeah, like maybe I think they probably are outside the school or something. I don't really know too much, but
Yeah.
I know what you mean. Like there is definitely a big culture sort of difference in kind of working hard and achieving doesn't necessarily make you like the outcast. Like I think there's still the kids who like enjoy getting in trouble and all that, but
Yeah.
the kids that work hard, they're not like you'd be bullied in the UK for that, wouldn't you? But I don't think that's necessary. I think there's different kind of probably different kind of bully culture we don't see, but it seems like way reduced here, especially for people who are achieving good stuff.
Yeah. No, I firmly agree with that. So you I'm trying to think you when you had a 6 month contract, right? At the
Yeah,
school. And then when did you make the decision to so you renewed again, didn't you?
yeah. So I had a 6 month contract. So I joined like halfway through the year. I joined at like half term in October, really, and then had a 6 month contract. The first few weeks, I was like, "Oh no, I don't think I can do this," and then I started to feel like pretty relaxed. And then by the time, that seemed to be over in like the blink of an eye, like those 6 months, and then I was quite settled. Like I had because of like I had a bad deal when I first started. My pay would go up, and I was kind of thinking, well, if I go back to the UK, what am I gonna do? I can go home for a month because we had a long summer holiday, so I went home for the month and then came back. Yeah, like I think, yeah, I'm not sure. I think I did start to make some kind of progress in terms of sort of personality and like I don't know if that sounds weird, but kind of I don't know how to better phrase it. I think moving abroad kind of strengthened my character somewhat, and I kind of had
Mm.
noticed that. And then I think my confidence had improved being in the classroom, um, and I felt like pretty settled. And I liked the fact that I could afford my own place here. Like simple
Yeah.
things like that. I like the fact that you can sit outside and do stuff, not necessarily drinking. Although we did do a lot of that at the beginning, but. How about you? So you did a full year and then decided to carry on. Why did you decide to carry on?
Well, again, as much as the job was good, I kind of think I we we have a mutual friend who he doesn't say a lot of wise things, but was saying you have to kind of learn how to surf the classroom, and that struck a chord with me. I was like, right, okay, I think I'm learning how to. You know what? Let's just go with the flow here.
See, we have that
Um,
many friends who would give bad advice. I have no idea
you
who
don't know
you're
which
referring
one
to.
that
Yeah. It's like you said he doesn't give that much good advice. So there's like 7 people. Do you want to talk about?
I'm sure he'll be on this at a later date.
Right.
Yeah, it was. So it was after a year, and it had been a pretty like that. A lot of personal growth, and
Yeah.
and also it had been pretty mental as well. So I was like, do you know what? Another year here, where like uh, maybe things are a little bit calmer. I'm a bit more used to what's going on.
Yeah.
Um, would be good. But I definitely think, see what you've said there about like that strengthening a character and like that. I felt that I was forming much better habits than I had back home. Like
Yeah.
I am. I didn't really, I didn't really care much for like fitness or stuff like that. Like how I kept thin was just by like not eating, as opposed to
Yeah.
any sort of uh, like, and that's it though. Like I weigh, so I was like super thin when I came here, and I weigh more now, but I'm like a million times healthier than I ever was back home.
Yeah, I think I've gained 20 kilograms in like the 3.5 years I've been at it. Like I'm not like I'm probably in better shape now than I was. Well, no, I'm 100% in better shape now.
Yeah,
So it's funny, it kind of like fitness. Like I mean, there is part of it where it's like the wet. So like it's much nicer to just go for a run here, especially in like the evening when it's a bit cooler. You know, there's lots of like parks, aren't there? Because I remember thinking that, you know, like there's a really nice park in Korat, and like there's a really nice track near in Samiri where I live now that you can go for a run. But I always think back to this news story I remember reading in like a local newspaper, and like this park in Korat, Bungtalua, where there's like a lake, you can go in the boat, you can rent a canoe, go paddling, tons of people running, tons of people walking, tons of people cycling. There's people painting. I don't know if you've seen that. You've seen like where you can
yeah,
rent like a
yeah.
canvas. And I remember going there a few times, and like I always thought back to this story in the UK in where I used to live, and like these scouts or someone were on a canal in like they were paddling down the canal in canoes, and like the police had to come and save them because a load of lads started throwing rocks and bottles at them and stuff like that. And I'm thinking like I remember being like I was like I'd be way too afraid to get in a canoe in boat in like a public space, you know, like in Greater Manchester, or do anything that made you stick. You couldn't go for a run in the park in the evening, you know what I mean? So I might try and take your phone or something like so.
Yeah.
It's like here where it's like, you know, you can go for a jog and to get in a boat and imagine that, like sitting painting a lake, you know, in the UK. Like someone would just someone would ruin it for you. Someone would come and throw a can of beer across it. Someone, you know what I mean? Like you
Yeah.
just get someone, someone would take the piss out of you, which is yeah, it's kind of funny.
Yeah, but I mean, that park, Fontaloa's, I never truly appreciated it until I moved to this new place that's like a 15-minute walk from it. Every night, just slogging away in there. It's wonderful.
That's beautiful. So
Um,
I think the diet's better here as well. Like I think the food.
oh yeah, well, I mean, everything. Like I don't. I used to cook like back home, but here I rarely cook because see if you're ordering from a restaurant or something, everything is fresh. It's cooked like there and then, and it's all like fresh
Yeah.
vegetables, fresh meat. It's that's great. I love the food here.
Yeah, like as well, like if like I was thinking like if you wanted like a snack in the UK, you kind of like if you're out in town, you can get a Greggs or whatever, you can get a pasty or a pie or something, or you'd have a bag of crisps if you're at home. Whereas there's like guys barbecuing chicken on every street. You know, what I mean, you can just run down and get a skewer of chicken. Like I think that's a way more healthier option. So, uh,
See just with that, what blew me away was how cheap fruit was, and how like fruit doesn't taste like it does back home. Like it actually
yeah,
fucking tastes like what it is. Like a mango
oh
is
yeah,
almost
shit, man,
like it's
mangoes.
like incomparable.
Yeah, you know what else? Like I don't like my girlfriend's got a friend who grows dragon fruit. I don't know if you've eaten dragon fruit in the UK. I remember getting it in like a salad box from Tesco, and it
Mm.
just tastes like water. It tastes like nothing. But if you have dragon
Yeah.
fruit here, it actually tastes like sweet, and there's all sorts of flavors to it. I didn't realize. I thought I didn't like it until I ate it. But yeah, the mangoes out here are incredible, aren't they?
Oh, it's so good. I remember one night, I think, did you buy them? Or did I buy them and we shared them? We split them. Someone at the end of the street where we used to live was selling mangoes. And
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember that. I think I might have bought some because I thought they were like. I remember even saying like 50 baht. So I thought like if I gave him 100 baht, I was gonna get two. But it was like 50 baht for a kilogram. So I
yeah,
ended up with like 2 kilograms of like mangoes.
Because I had no idea. I'd never seen a whole mango before. Like I'd only ever seen, the like mango fingers you used to get in like a meal deal back home. So when you gave me it, I was like, how the fuck do you eat this?
Yeah.
Ended up like Tom Hanks and Castaway. And this mango just running down my beard, like my shirt off because it's roasted, and
It's unbelievable.
it's the taste is so good.
Like coconuts back home, they're brown, aren't they? Have you ever bought a coconut here? They're green. Like they
With the green.
Yeah. Like that's because they like cut the. I think they cut the. It's either aged or like in the shipping process, or they cut like the skin off and then do something to it. But like if you drink like coconut water here, it's like sour, sweet, all sorts of stuff. If you drink coconut back home, there's like, I don't know, it's just a bit like a less. I mean, obviously it's because the fruits are grown here. Like there's some fruit, like I don't really like the taste of the potatoes out here. I miss some of like the potatoes, and like also I don't know if I've found that the apples aren't as good. Like I think the apples in the, not that I eat them that much, but the apples I've got away from Bidler. So I think that's like just different fruits grown in different areas. But there is, you are definitely getting, there's more of an impetus on getting the fresher fruit here. So like if you go to like my experience with dragon fruit in the UK was like chopped up, pre-packaged, bought from Tesco, and you were saying like you got them mango fingers before, you never actually cut into a mango or anything. So like all the food is like sort of packaged and peeled elsewhere in it and then sits for a bit. I think that takes away from the flavour a bit maybe.
And here as well, it's very like seasonal. Like there'll be a time when you can't get like the sweet mangoes.
Yeah,
they're not in season.
Obviously that's normal. That's like fucking that's what actually happens. Like like we shouldn't be getting like fucking mangoes in the UK. You know what I mean? In the middle of winter, like why does Tesco have these? They've flown in from like Thailand or wherever, aren't they?
Yeah. So you where your first summer you went? Did you go back home? Yeah.
Yeah, first summer I went back home. So I remember the first holiday I took was like Christmas. We had, because I came in October, so we had the Christmas break because we were you're still working at. It's kind of funny. We ended up at a Catholic school, didn't we? Which is kind of annoying. You come on this way and that's the last thing you expect. But yeah, so we got the Christmas holiday, and I think the first holiday was to Phuket. I went down to Phuket.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh god. I went on that holiday to Bali.
Oh yeah, that was when you went to Bali, wasn't it? When the volcano went off on there.
Yeah. Oh, I summed that holiday right up.
That's jokes.
Yeah, that was a riot. That was booked when. So you remember our office? That was there 6 of us in it? 6 or 8 of us that sat up there.
Yeah. The 6 witches of a no joking.
started off no one spoke, and then suddenly everyone spoke, and it was like, this is great. Yeah. And then I think everyone spoke too much, and suddenly this like huge schism just developed, and either no one was talking or like everyone was at each other's throats, and but in the good times we booked a holiday to Bali together, 4 of us, and then had to go on it, and fuck me, man. Yeah, that was alright. I mean, there was a New Year's Eve boat party, and I'd fallen out, well not fallen out, but like got caught in the middle of an argument and just like sat in the fence, so then ended up like both sides shouting at me, and I was stuck on this boat, and it was like 8 hours. Like, Jesus, like being stuck in a boat in the middle of like the ocean on New Year's Eve. Like I'm absolutely steaming, and I'm just surrounded with people who are shouting at me. It was was quite an experience. Felt seasick for like 3 days as well, just swaying back and forward.
I got
Then
sick on that trip as well when I went away. But go on, sorry, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, and then had to go teach on like the 3rd of January. Got back to Karat on the 2nd, I think.
Yeah, that's right. You got back right at the end. I remember that. Yeah, that's kind of funny.
Oh.
Yeah, I went my first trip. I went to Phuket on my own. Stayed hostel. It was great. I made some mate who was like keen into photography like myself, and so we was hanging about. And then he was going up to Bangkok for New Year, and then so I made plans to do that as well. So I met up with him. I think the day before New Year, I drank like a bucket of gin on Koh San Road.
Oh.
A bucket of gin and tonic, and then which was a terrible mistake. And then I think I ate some, and I was sick really badly all in the hostel, and like that I was staying with, and like I think I pissed off everyone. But I remember like the woman coming in and saying, "Who's been sick? Who's been sick?" And I was like, everyone else was like, "Not me, not me." Stood up chatting, and I was there in bed like white under the sheets, like, "No, it wasn't me." I must have told you about that. So in like the bunk above me was some lad from Scotland who was wild. He had like a load of bottles of sand that he'd collected from each beach he'd been to. Like, and they weren't small bottles. They were like half-liter water bottles full of sand and dirt that he was taking back. I was thinking that'd be fun getting that free customs. But he was off his head, and like he was getting these suits made and telling me that the people he got the suits made worked for Ralph Lauren, and they just didn't sew the labels on them. So that like once he got back home, he had all these Ralph Lauren or Hugo Boss suits or something like that. And then so I was actually sick on New Year's Eve, and he started shouting at me as well that I wasn't going out drinking. He was like going, "Nah, you ain't going out." You know, like I won't embarrass him ever doing that. But yeah, he was probably giving me a stick about like being in bed and stuff. But yeah, I was sick as a dog for a couple of days.
Oh, brutal, man.
Good times.
I think the days of like a shared dorm experience are beyond me now. I don't think I could go back to that.
No, I miss it a little bit because I remember that one in Phuket. Like, I was really lucky. There was like me, this Canadian guy who was super into photography, this guy who was into cryptocurrencies from Norway, who was a bit of a dork, and then like some other lads who were like some lad who was making money like transcribing YouTube videos. So like I was learning about all these different ways you can make money online while they were traveling and stuff. So like you used to get into good conversations with people, and you know then you'd have the occasional psychopath, like, you know what I mean, who's like possible murderer who's going to rob everyone's cameras while they're sleeping. But
yeah, out here I've not had the best of experience with shared dorms.
Oh really?
When I spent a summer going around Europe. It was great for that, but here I don't know. I tend to run into fucking weirdos.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Some of the characters you meet up. Yeah. So I was thinking, like, I was going to say, so maybe like before we wrap this up, I was going to ask you, like, would you recommend this to a friend, like moving abroad? Would you recommend moving to Thailand to a friend?
100%. Yeah. I mean, this has completely changed me as a person. Like 100%. I came out here. I came out here totally lost, and now I'm only slightly lost.
That's a great way. That's a great way. Great way of putting it.
But I feel like a million times more like an actual person. Like back home, it's just like running about, doing stupid shit, but here there is still the running about doing stupid shit, but you're also like, you kind of, in a weird way, have this responsibility at the end of the day, because you're like, shit, I'm teaching people's kids here. Like I need to get it together. And this moving away, like you learn how to you learn, I think, how to actually be yourself. Like, not because you come out and it's like, right, okay, well, what am I? You know, back home you're different different things to different people, and like reflections of what your kind of social scene is. But here you're like, okay, well, I need to start over, and I need to see what
Yeah,
interests me, and maybe that's how now we're both saying about finding like fitness and stuff, because I've got mad into running here, and I'd felt fallen away from football a bit back home, but
yeah,
out here, maybe it's because it's something that brings you together. Like football's, I mean, I don't know what it's like down in Samui. It's obviously different right now, but like, I mean, you remember Korat, like
yeah. It's great.
Korat
Yeah,
life
yeah.
almost revolves around football.
Weekly football like keeps everyone sane, doesn't it? In crap.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
funny. It's funny because I was playing before I moved out. I was actually playing quite a lot of football. Like and I was in like a five-a-side league in
Mm,
Stockport with a few mates. And like some of the other teams you'd meet, like they were just there to beat the shit out of people. You know what I mean? Like there's regular fights, or like not proper fights, but people squaring up. You know,
yeah.
you'd regularly get some bigger guy. Like there'd be like fat guys who just batter into you.
Hmm.
And it was always absolutely fucking freezing. We'd be playing at like 7 o'clock in the evening. But yeah, I mean that was good. But yeah, like you say, like out here, like when we used to meet up like Wednesdays, and then like rather than the league, we had like we'd make two teams. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
very fond memories of the footballing career.
And even, I mean, because it goes, there's the guys in Lopburi and Bangkok and Hua Hin, and
Yeah, yeah,
the tournaments travel around. It's good fun.
yeah. There's
So how about
some great people organising events up in Korat. I'll say that.
yeah, the ringmaster.
Yeah, yeah.
So what about you, Ben? Would you recommend this?
Yeah, I think so. To certain friends, 100%. When I was thinking about this when you were speaking, I remember like, do you remember when we went to watch Buriram play Korat, the football match?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Do you remember them older guys we met from Buriram who we ended up sharing a
yeah.
taxi with? Like it's kind of weird, but I remember having a conversation with like I feel it's a bit of a but I remember I'll just say it anyway. I remember one of the guys saying to me like he was probably in his 30s, and I think he was trying to tell me that like he was a virgin before he came to Thailand, and like because he kept saying like, oh, it's not common in the UK, if I bet you've got some mates who the virgins aren't, it's not common, is it? But so like like the point is like obviously like Thailand has this reputation or whatever, but it's not. I don't think it's just that, and it's more to do with the fact that like you come out here, you do something courageous, and that kind of makes you a courageous person in a respect. And I think I like obviously I sound like a cunt saying that because I don't really mean it about myself, but it does make you someone who's willing to take a big chance. It does make you someone who's like bold enough to move to a different country and do all this. So like and like I think yeah, like you say, like even that what we were talking about as well before, like personal development and achieving your goals isn't
Mm,
something that someone will just rip the shit out of you for out here, you know what I mean? So you kind of get a
yeah,
buzz and like, oh yeah, I can, maybe I'll start running and doing different things and playing football. But yeah, I remember that distinctly, and I've told a few of my mates back home like who are like stressed out or whatever. Say, look, if you start feeling too stressed out, you've got your degree. You can train and get a TEFL, so you can get certified to teach out here. It'd probably be pretty interesting for you.
yeah. It's I guess it's like back home. It's that. I know he's not flavour of the month, but the classic Morrissey. Like we hate it when our friends become successful.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's a way bigger issue, isn't it? Like back home, I might be.
yeah,
There are some good things to that. That like that kind of sort of brutal kind of
yeah.
it does fire you up and like can push you in the right direction, but yeah, it's a little bit harsher in it. I think there's different personalities who suit it a little bit better, and maybe
Mhm.
I've found that I suit it out here a little bit better, perhaps.
Yeah. It's comfortable to be like ploughing your own path here. Everyone's kind of respectful of it and like accepting people as they are.
Yeah, yeah. And there's more support. Like I've noticed, like I've met a few people who are like like this is like I'm talking about like my friends who are Thai and stuff,
Mm.
who are like musicians. Like I knew someone who was like a couple of people I met, but I know someone fairly well who's like a singer or like, and they just go and sing in all the bars, and that seems more like they can make a living doing that here. Like or like there's people who are photographers. Even bumped into a few people who are like there seems to be like a clear path into creative sort of work, which seems is always pretty interested me because like back home, like it's kind of funny because it like I said, like I mentioned that I'd applied for a few artist residencies and I got like a couple of interviews after finishing uni, and like but you got to imagine there's probably like 10 of them a year in like Manchester, and there's about 600 people with art degrees, and then like
Yeah.
and like 20 real artists who are all applying for these residencies because that's it. And that pressure cooker does create like great art, great music. You know what I mean? Like I'm not like saying that the music scene in the UK is like tremendous. You know what I mean? And, like globally recognized. So I think that kind of pressure cooker of only the best make it. You know what I mean? High pressure makes the diamonds or whatever. But out here you can, I think you can set up yourself about town. Maybe it's because the smallest like so the population's the same here as the UK, but the land size is like twice as much, and I feel
Yeah.
like there's sort of smaller, even in the bigger cities, kind of smaller communities and that. So maybe that's why maybe they're like you can sort of find your own sort of niche and people will sort of support you a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're right about that. I mean, it's Karat's definitely got its own scene and own kind of culture on the road.
Yeah, 100%, yeah. And like all the bars have like live music, don't they? Like so, like all
Yeah.
these people being paid to basically play every night in like certain bars and stuff.
And I mean, you know how many bars there are here. It's
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah, man. Well, I mean, we've been talking for about an hour, so maybe we should save
Yeah,
the
we'll
rest
wrap it
of
up.
our
Yeah.
ramblings for next time. But yeah, good to speak to you,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah, and
All right.
if
Take
there
care
is
now.
if there is
Speak soon.
anyone listening, thank you very much. Maybe we'll get someone, Jack. You never know. So thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
See you
All
later.
right. Take care. See you, man.